Welcome back again, guys. So in this video right here, we're going to start building our blog, and the first thing we're going to be implementing is our authentication system. So from the last video, I really believe you're able to actually set up your application. So for example, beginning by setting up our database, which is the first thing that we need to do. So I'll head over to my .env file, and right there I'm going to change my database details. So my database is going to be called blog, and I have already created that, and my username is going to be root for my local machine, and there is no password. Okay, so my database is set. Go ahead and set yours up, and if you see right here, the way I'm running my application is actually using virtual host, and this is because I'm using Laravel. But you can just run PHP artisan serve and everything would work as usual. So first thing, let's go ahead and generate our authentication system. Laravel provides an artisan command to generate easy authentication for application. That's why by default Laravel has a user.php for users table, and in our database migrations directory we have a create users table and a password resets table, because by default Laravel already comes baked in with an authentication system. So let's go ahead and run PHP artisan, and you discover that one of those migrations, one of those artisan commands, which is the make auth commands, scaffolds a basic login and registration, views and controllers and routes and all that. Okay, so first of all, we have in our HTTP controllers authentication directory controllers already for authentication. So let's go ahead and run that command. So I'll say php artisan make auth, and once this is done, first thing I'm going to show you is a refresh right here for the browser, and you discover we have a login and a register button. Now, how are these buttons generated? I'll go ahead to my welcome.blade.php. Remember, that's where it is. So welcome.blade.php is in charge of generating the view we see right here. So let's go ahead and view that view right now. If I scroll down to the bottom, you discover that where we are actually displaying the links is right here. So first of all, we have an if statement which is checking if there is a route that exists called login. So if route has login, then we should display this right here. So thus our router actually have this login route. Let's go to our web.php and see, because remember when we actually launched the application from the beginning, we couldn't see these links because we didn't have these routes in our web.php. But if we check our web.php right now, we have a list of routes. So auth routes, it's a routes method, and it has registered a bunch of routes for us in our application. Now let me show you these routes. Now there is an artisan command I believe I haven't showed you yet. So php artisan routes list. This artisan command right here is going to give us the list of all the routes in our application. Now let's look at this. We have this, which is for the home welcome.blade.php. We already know that one. And there are a bunch of new ones. So API/user is in our api.php file, which we haven't yet reviewed. So we have our home right here, which has been registered. If we check out, there's it. And we have login for get, we have login for post, we have passwords, we have register and all that. So all of these routes that have been added right here are registered by this auth route method, and this auth route method actually registers the routes for our basic authentication. Okay, so now that that's registered, let's go ahead and click the login button, and wow, we have a clean login form generated by Laravel for us. Okay, so we are seeing the /login route leads us to a login form, and I'll show you where that login form is right now. So I'll head over to my resources directory, because that's a view I want to see, and in my views directory I have an authentication directory that was generated, so auth directory, and there we have login.blade.php. okay, so this is where our login page lives. So I can change this to login into our blog admin area, and if I save and come back to my application and I refresh, log into our blog admin area. So this is the view for the login page. Okay, so let's click on the register page, and what is happening here, we also have a register.blade.php right here. Okay, so we can change this to see the changes. So we just say register now, and if I refresh that page, we have register now. Okay, so that's it. We have a register and a login page. Now let's go ahead and register into our application and see how that works. So I'll go ahead and clear this up, and I'll run php artisan migrate, because of course we want to create a new user and we need to send the users table to the database. So now that that's migrated, we can go ahead and register for a new account. Let's register right here. So I'll register with my name and of course with my fake email, and my password is password, and I'll click the register button, and automatically as soon as I'm registered, I am redirected to a /home route, which we see right in our web.php file. So the /home route and then the home controller at the index method. So let's search for that home controller, and right here you can see in my app http controllers directory I have a home controller. Okay, so let's look at that method. The index simply returns a view called home. So let's go to our views, and there we have our home.blade.php. So right here where it says you are logged in, we can change it to say welcome, just to see the changes. So go ahead and refresh that, and we have welcome. So this is how the simple basic authentication works. I'll go ahead and show you the controllers that handle the register. So in our register controller, what happens is when we receive the request from the front end, which is the registration request, we first of all validate that data. Don't worry about this, we're going to review it. So first of all, we just check if the name is in the request, and the maximum characters in that name variable is 255. We also check if there's an email and make sure that the email is actually an email, and we make sure that that email is actually unique to the users table, meaning no email like this actually exists yet in the users table. Then we make sure the password is there, and we make sure that the user confirmed his password by typing it twice, and we make sure that the minimum characters in the password is 6. So as soon as we validate the data and it's correct, our create method right here is going to create a new user. Okay, and automatically as soon as we create a new user, the user is logged in. Okay, so right here we save a new name to the database, a new email, and we encrypt the password and we save it to the database. So our login controller, if we wanted to log into our application, has a redirected to property, and it redirects to this property, so /home in this case. And that's how a basic authentication works. Okay, so just for little practice, if we use php artisan tinker right here, and we just say we need app user, and we need all the users in the app user table, you discover that now we have a new user in our database. Okay, so this is the application user that we just created. That's my name, and the password of course is hidden from us. Okay, so go ahead and play with this, create a new user, see how it works, and I'll see you in the next video.